Welcome back to American Heritage Homestead. My honey and I are designing a coop today, and I have a lot of non-negotiables, but I'm going to let him share with you what we're going to do.
Hi guys. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about designing a chicken coop because there's a lot that goes into it and a lot of considerations that you want to make before you actually start hammering nails and screwing in screws and even buying materials and things like that. So first off, for this coop, it's going to be a permanent coop. It's not going to move, and it's going to hopefully last for a long time and hold a good number of chickens. And that's probably your number one starting point is how many chickens do you plan this coop to hold? For us, we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 30, depending on kind of what happens to our flocks and things like that. So you can see in the video here, we're kind of laying out the four corners and getting a layout together and actually seeing it in the area that you want to put it is really helpful in deciding sort of how you want it to look, how you want it to be built, and what needs to go into it. So for us, for the amount of chickens that we're thinking of keeping in this permanent coop, we're going with an 8x12. And so that's kind of what we're laying out here on the corners. Right here, kind of just getting a rough layout of where a sort of a main front door would go. But so for us, we're thinking of attaching a fenced-in run to this. So the 8x12 will work, considering that they'll also have a lot of room to be in the run. And when the weather is nice and everything like that, we'll let them just kind of roam the whole property. So the size should work.
Right now, we keep our chicks in the shed. And we're setting up something for that this go around, but we are going to have that place that's going to be a hospital, so to say, also to be big enough to put chicks in and maybe our meat birds in, so everything can be in one area, inside, away from the cold, away from predators, because this is going to be all blocked in, and I want to make our lives easier and, not have to go to 15 different places at once. It's all going to be in one place, and I'll show you this coop that we have right now. All right, so they desperately want to come outside. It was so hard in the winter. This really was built for meat birds. This was not meant to be for regular laying chickens, so we want to give them a nice place to stay. Obviously, we had to block off a little bit, and everything you add on makes it heavier. This was really just for meat birds, so they have somewhere in the back and somewhere to move on fresh grass each day, but this is not meant for layers.
So as I was talking about before, layout is really important, and what's going to go on inside the coop and how you're going to set it up, how you're going to work feeding them and coming in and out of the coop, and what's going to go inside the coop is important. So through this part of the video, me and my wife are discussing where we're going to put what we were talking about before, what she was talking about, which was the animal hospital, or basically a separate segregated area for brooding, or if a chicken gets sick and needs to kind of be quarantined. So looking at some other coops online and what other people have done, what seems like a good system is to have a fully fenced-in area with a full door that we can walk inside and segregate certain chicks, quarantine chicks, or have some chicks in like a brooder setup that can be separated from the rest of the flock, but kind of growing up right alongside them. The size that we decided for that is going to be around a 3x5 foot section. So that's what we're trying to figure out. Where in the coop are we going to put this 3x5 separate area that we're going to be able to segregate chicks into? And as you watch the video, you're going to see we do a lot of going back and forth, trying that 3x5 in different corners, different areas. What's going to make sense for us walking in and operating in the flock? What's also going to give the chickens that are in the coop good movement around that area? What's going to give them a nice space to be in? One of the things that we did talk about and decide was that our 3x5 quarantine animal hospital section is going to have a full door that we're going to be able to walk fully in. But when we're not using it for that purpose, we're going to just remove the door. Planning to do probably, standard hinges that have the pins in them. And I'm just going to pop the pins and remove the door when it's not in use, so that 3x5 area doesn't get wasted and the flock can utilize that inside the coop when nobody needs to be quarantined or segregated. And then when somebody does, we just pop the door back in and that area becomes, a separate place. But this went through a lot of debate between me and my wife as to where was the best area to put it. But this is why doing a layout like this is important, and why it's really helpful before you get started building what things are going to go where. And as a builder, if I know ahead of time where a wall is going to be or where I'm going to need to have a door or whatever it might be, in the actual framing, I can kind of keep that in the back of my head and know. So yes, you could make a lot of these decisions after the shell of the coop is built and you have your 4 walls up, and then you can decide what you want to do on the inside. But if you have a game plan of what's going to go on inside, it makes it easier when building to account for certain things, to add nailers, to add different things within the framing that'll help you with what your layout's going to ultimately be. You'll have an extra stud here, an extra stud there, where a door is going to go or hinges are going to need to go. And so I find it really helpful to have a pretty solid game plan of what even the inside is going to look like. And like I said, we went back and forth on what area would work best. And ultimately, our first thought ended up being the game plan we went with, and where we ended up deciding to put the animal hospital. So you're going to see in the video kind of us just going through all the different options that we were considering.
It's probably better if you're not walking into.
That's what I feel like it's happening. I feel like I'm walking into. Okay, I'm opening the door, and then I'm like, boom, hospital.
Unless you do keep it.
I don't know. It's more like, if it was me.
Ooh. Alright, so nesting box is out a little bit, so you have this open, everything, there'll be roosting for them here. We'll put up.
Right.
What are you worrying about?
Hold this for a second.
So at this point in the video, as we're still trying to figure out our interior layout on the coop, I bring in a piece of countertop that I had gotten off of a job that I was doing a demo on. And it was a perfectly good countertop with a laminate top that I know will be easy to clean, fairly waterproof. And what we're kind of talking about here is my plan to fix this countertop at sort of a standard countertop height in the back side of the coop, and that we were going to have roosting bars over the top of it. So that would be an area where the chickens would roost, where they would sleep a lot of the time, and if they pooped off their roosting bars, which is very common for them, at least they're pooping onto this countertop that will be easy to clean and easy to maintain. And so once we had that established, as that was going to be a piece and that was going to kind of be the best placement for it, we were still deciding, where's this animal hospital go?
Yeah.
One option would be to say,
And I guess even though that is going to be a hospital, right, we're going to have it, what do you call it, like chicken wire or something there to close this off. We will have a door, but like we said, instead of losing all of our living space for all the chickens, we can leave or detach the door when not using it, and so they do have more areas. And then we can put roosting bars in the back of that as well.
so, this is one way to do it. So, you walk in this door. This door only doesn't matter if you go kind of back to where it was. Here. You walk in, you're in, you have food and water here, you have this here. Now you're going to have a wall here. That's going to be your thing. You can set your doorway up here. Put a doorway up over there. or you can fit your doorway here. So you have your door going like this, and they can get into here, and you just remove that doorway, and now they have this access and that access. And then that's pretty much your floor plan.
I may want it in the right corner.
In this corner?
Yeah.
And then what do you do for food and water?
Why couldn't we put it right where you're standing?
You can. My only thing is now you're going to come all the way around. You're going to go around this way, because remember, this is all going to be inaccessible.
But we'll have this opening to walk behind?
Yes, for sure. But you're going to come up above. This is a little more convenient.
Yeah.
So just come right here and go, whoop, food, whoop, water.
I'm an aesthetic feeler.
I mean, I get it. I kind of like where I thought it to go first.
Here?
Over here.
This side though, right? Tucking the right?
Unless, what's this? Unless, that works perfectly actually. So you could do this, right? Like pull this all the way tight to the wall.
Oh yeah, because the boxes are going to be outside.
Sleeping with roost bars up here, and they poop on it. You clean it. You have food and water underneath, and this little corner that just gets utilized by animal hospital through here. Okay, you can either decide to put the door here, which I think probably would be better just for the sake of they'll use this area if the opening is right here, as opposed to them walking all the way around. I think if you this off.
No, I agree.
So then you come in here. So now you can do this. And the nice feature is, if you really needed to, you could ditch food and water and make this a little box too.
Yeah, that's true.
You gotta remember, now your wall of the hospital is gonna come like that. So now if you needed to make more, you would just put it underneath this, and then now your food and water, you just gotta do something else.
Yeah, which is easy. You could hang, yeah.
I could build a panel for the front here as like, we need even more space. And then, if you really needed to, you could make this whole thing animal hospital.
Well, you could fit 50 meat birds in there, couldn't you, if you connected it?
You just added a lot more.
Okay, so this will be raised up to height. So it'll be under their roosting area. These boxes are going to be built outside of the coop, but also raised up to that same height so they can climb in. I want a way to prevent them from pooping all over the boxes, but we'll have to figure that out. And then what was the last thing that you just said?
Window here.
Oh yeah, and then a window here, because I want to make sure they have light. That whole winter, all of our chickens stayed inside. And so I want a window in the back too, or on this.
So at this point, we're just kind of discussing some options for windows. But as you can see, after all that going back and forth with the layout, we figured out where we were going to put things. The countertop was 5 foot, and the dimensions with going by a 3x5 animal hospital section worked out perfectly to put everything on that one back 8-foot wall. And so the point of all this is to basically say, when you're designing a chicken coop or designing anything you're going to build that you're going to want to be useful for you, doing a layout like this, seeing it out in the field where it's actually going to go is very, very helpful. Getting some sticks, putting some corners, thinking about what it's going to feel like to walk in and where you're going to put things.
Especially through the winter, since we have 2 movable coops and not, an official set one right now. That was hard on them. I felt really bad because it wasn't designed or set up for wintertime. And so that's a concern of mine. So what we're doing is at least we will have a place for them to stay warm, free from draft, set up a lot better. So even if I want to still, they can stay in there in winter and now. Even if I want to be able to put them back in one of these coops, I can. And so we have meat birds coming, and we will take all the extra stuff that we had added on to keep these chickens warm off, so the coop will be lighter again and just meant for them, to move for them, and that's only for about 8 weeks, right? And so at least these chickens can have a cozy home. So anyway, we'll keep you posted on the coop.